Welcome to Framework, the podcast that makes the NIST cybersecurity framework practical, engaging, and accessible. Whether you're a cybersecurity professional, business leader, or simply curious about how organizations defend against cyber threats, this series is for you. This podcast is inspired by a comprehensive guide to the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0, a best-selling resource written by cybersecurity expert Dr. Jason Edwards and trusted by professionals worldwide. In each episode, we'll leverage a few insights from Jason's extensive book to dive deep into CSF 2.0, unpacking every function, category, and subcategory with real-world applications you can immediately use. If you're enjoying this episode and want to learn more, head over to cyberauthor.me to grab your copy of the book and access additional resources to enhance your cybersecurity journey. You can also visit baremetalcyber.com, where over 2 million people last year explored expert insights, articles, and practical tools across a wide range of cybersecurity topics. GV.PO-01, establishing a cybersecurity risk management policy. GV.PO-01 ensures that organizations develop, document, and enforce a formal cybersecurity risk management policy that provides a clear framework for identifying, assessing, and mitigating cyber risks across all business operations. This subcategory belongs to the governed function within the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework, version 2.0, emphasizing that a well-defined cybersecurity risk management policy ensures that security strategies align with business objectives, regulatory requirements, and industry best practices. Without a structured cybersecurity policy, organizations risk inconsistent security governance, lack of accountability in cybersecurity decision-making, and an inability to proactively manage cyber threats. Establishing a cybersecurity risk management policy ensures that organizations create a structured, repeatable, and enforceable approach to addressing cyber risks, defining security roles, and implementing risk mitigation strategies. A structured cybersecurity policy allows organizations to align security priorities with business needs, ensure compliance with regulatory frameworks, and improve the effectiveness of cybersecurity investments. Organizations that develop formal cybersecurity risk management policies, enforce structured security governance frameworks, and integrate security policy oversight into leadership decision-making enhance their ability to mitigate cyber risks systematically and sustain long-term security resilience. Multiple stakeholders play a role in establishing and maintaining a cybersecurity risk management policy. Executive leadership and board members provide strategic oversight, approve cybersecurity policies, and ensure that security risk management aligns with enterprise-wide business objectives. Chief Information Security Officers and risk management teams implement structured cybersecurity policy frameworks, conduct security risk assessments, and ensure that security policies remain up to date with evolving cyber threats. Compliance officers and legal teams ensure that cybersecurity policies align with industry regulations, contractual security requirements, and data protection laws, reducing legal exposure and ensuring regulatory compliance. A cybersecurity risk management policy is established through structured policy development processes, periodic policy reviews, and continuous cybersecurity governance enhancements. This includes documenting cybersecurity objectives, defining risk tolerance levels, ensuring that all employees understand security expectations, and regularly updating security policies based on emerging threats. Organizations that fail to establish a formal cybersecurity policy risk unclear security governance, inconsistent enforcement of security measures, and ineffective risk prioritization, increasing the likelihood of security breaches and compliance failures. Several key terms define cybersecurity risk management policies and their role in enterprise security governance. Cybersecurity policy frameworks establish structured governance models that define security responsibilities, risk mitigation strategies, and compliance requirements. Risk tolerance levels specify the acceptable level of cybersecurity risk an organization is willing to take based on its business model and regulatory obligations. Security policy enforcement mechanisms include automated controls, security awareness training, and compliance tracking tools that ensure cybersecurity policies are consistently followed. Incident response policy integration ensures that cybersecurity risk management policies align with incident response protocols, ensuring a rapid and structured approach to mitigating security incidents. Continuous policy improvement refers to regularly updating cybersecurity policies to address new cyber threats, changes in technology, and evolving business requirements. Challenges in establishing a cybersecurity risk management policy often lead to weak security governance, ineffective security policy enforcement, and failure to align cybersecurity risk mitigation strategies with business needs. One common issue is lack of executive support, where leadership does not prioritize cybersecurity policy development, resulting in security policies that are outdated, incomplete, or inconsistently enforced. Another issue is failure to integrate cybersecurity policies into enterprise-wide risk management, leading to cyber risks being addressed separately from operational and financial risks, reducing visibility and strategic alignment. Some organizations mistakenly believe that a cybersecurity policy is a one-time document, without recognizing that cybersecurity policies must evolve continuously to address emerging threats, regulatory updates, and business transformations. When organizations establish a well-defined cybersecurity risk management policy, they improve security governance, enhance regulatory compliance, and strengthen enterprise-wide security resilience. A structured cybersecurity policy ensures that security risk management is consistently applied across all business units. Leadership teams have a clear understanding of cyber risk exposure, and cybersecurity investments align with business risk priorities. Organizations that implement structured cybersecurity policy frameworks, enforce risk-based security policy decision-making, and continuously update security policies to address new threats, develop a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy that enhances business resilience, reduces security vulnerabilities, and ensures long-term security sustainability. Organizations that fail to establish a structured cybersecurity risk management policy face significant security, operational, and compliance risks. Without a well-defined policy, cybersecurity efforts become fragmented, reactive, and inconsistent, leading to poor risk prioritization, ineffective security investments, and a lack of accountability in security governance. A common issue is inconsistent enforcement of security controls, where different departments implement security measures independently without alignment with an organization-wide cybersecurity framework, creating gaps in risk mitigation. Another major risk is failure to integrate cybersecurity policy into business decision-making, where leadership overlooks security considerations in strategic planning, leading to regulatory non-compliance and increased vulnerability to cyber threats. By establishing a structured cybersecurity risk management policy, organizations ensure that security governance is standardized, security responsibilities are well-defined, and cybersecurity risk mitigation strategies are systematically enforced. A formal cybersecurity policy improves risk visibility, facilitates decision-making, and strengthens the organization's ability to proactively manage cyber risks. Organizations that develop structured cybersecurity policy frameworks, enforce clear security accountability measures, and integrate cybersecurity risk assessment into corporate strategy enhance their ability to detect, prevent, and mitigate cyber risks effectively. At the partial tier, organizations lack a formalized cybersecurity risk management policy, leading to ad hoc security governance, informal security procedures, and weak alignment between cybersecurity and business objectives. Cyber risk management efforts are reactive, with cybersecurity policies being incomplete, inconsistently applied, or entirely absent from enterprise governance structures. A small business at this level may rely on informal security practices without a documented cybersecurity policy, resulting in inconsistent security control implementation and increased exposure to cyber risks. At the risk-informed tier, organizations begin to develop a cybersecurity risk management policy, ensuring that some security governance processes are formalized and partially enforced. However, cybersecurity policies may still be disconnected from enterprise-wide risk management strategies, with limited integration into executive decision-making processes. A mid-sized company at this level may create a cybersecurity policy but fail to conduct regular reviews or ensure consistent enforcement across all business units, leading to uneven security risk management implementation. At the repeatable tier, organizations implement a fully structured cybersecurity risk management policy, ensuring that security policies are standardized, regularly updated, and enforced across all departments. Cybersecurity governance is formalized, and leadership actively participates in cybersecurity risk management policy reviews and security investment planning. A financial institution at this stage may establish a board-approved cybersecurity policy framework, ensuring that risk management strategies align with regulatory requirements, industry best practices, and enterprise-wide security governance models. At the adapted tier, organizations employ real-time cybersecurity risk intelligence, automated policy enforcement tools, and continuous policy optimization frameworks to dynamically adjust cybersecurity risk management policies based on emerging threats and evolving business priorities. Cybersecurity risk management is fully integrated into enterprise-wide governance, ensuring that security policies evolve alongside digital transformation efforts and changing threat landscapes. A global technology company at this level may deploy AI-driven security policy automation, continuous security risk assessment dashboards, and predictive risk modeling to proactively adjust cybersecurity policies in real time. Cybersecurity risk management policy establishment aligns with multiple controls in the National Institute of Standards and Technology Special Publication 800-53, ensuring that organizations implement comprehensive cybersecurity governance models and structured security policy enforcement frameworks. One key control is PM-1 information security governance, which requires organizations to develop a formal cybersecurity governance structure that includes executive leadership oversight, structured policy enforcement mechanisms, and continuous cybersecurity risk evaluation. A healthcare provider implementing this control may establish a cybersecurity policy that defines risk tolerance levels, enforces data protection policies, and ensures that security governance remains a priority in patient data protection strategies. Another key control is RA-3 risk assessment procedures, which mandates that organizations define structured cybersecurity risk assessment methodologies, ensuring that cybersecurity risk evaluations are conducted consistently across all business functions. A financial services company implementing this control may develop standardized risk assessment models that prioritize security policy enforcement based on the criticality of financial transaction systems and customer data protection requirements. Cybersecurity risk management policy establishment also aligns with CA-1 security assessment and authorization, which requires organizations to develop formal security assessment procedures to ensure that cybersecurity policies are continuously evaluated for effectiveness and compliance. This control ensures that organizations conduct regular cybersecurity policy audits, update security governance frameworks as needed, and integrate security policy evaluations into enterprise-wide risk management strategies. A government contracting firm implementing this control may establish structured security policy assessment cycles, ensuring that cybersecurity policy remain compliant with federal regulations. These controls can be adapted based on organizational size, industry, and cybersecurity maturity. A small business may implement basic cybersecurity policy frameworks, ensuring that security policies cover essential areas such as password management, employee security training, and incident response procedures. A large enterprise may deploy automated cybersecurity policy enforcement tools, AI-driven security risk analysis platforms, and real-time cybersecurity policy monitoring dashboards to ensure that cybersecurity policies remain dynamic and aligned with evolving cyber risks. Organizations in highly regulated industries such as financial services, healthcare, and defense may require continuous cybersecurity policy audits, executive-level cybersecurity policy oversight committees, and regulatory-driven security policy updates to maintain compliance with national and international cybersecurity mandates. Auditors assess cybersecurity risk management policy establishment by reviewing whether organizations have structured, documented, and continuously enforced cybersecurity governance policies that define clear security responsibilities, risk assessment methodologies, and compliance enforcement mechanisms. They evaluate whether organizations implement structured security policy review cycles, enforce risk-based security policy updates, and integrate cybersecurity policy governance into enterprise-wide decision-making processes. If an organization fails to establish a cybersecurity risk management policy, auditors may issue findings highlighting gaps in security policy enforcement, inconsistencies in risk management frameworks, and failure to align cybersecurity policy governance with regulatory compliance requirements. To verify compliance, auditors seek specific types of evidence. Cybersecurity governance policies and enterprise security risk management frameworks demonstrate that organizations formally define and enforce cybersecurity policies across all business units. Risk assessment documentation and cybersecurity policy update records provide insights into whether organizations proactively evaluate and refine cybersecurity policies based on evolving threats and business priorities. Incident response reports and security policy enforcement tracking logs show whether organizations consistently enforce cybersecurity policies, ensuring that security governance frameworks remain effective in mitigating cyber risks. A compliance success scenario could involve a multinational technology firm that undergoes an audit and provides evidence that cybersecurity risk management policies are fully established, ensuring that structured security policy enforcement mechanisms are in place, security risk assessments are regularly conducted, and security governance remains aligned with business strategy. Auditors confirm that cyber risks are proactively managed, cybersecurity policies are consistently enforced, and enterprise-wide security policy governance supports long-term cybersecurity resilience. In contrast, an organization that fails to establish a cybersecurity risk management policy, neglects security policy reviews, or lacks structured cybersecurity policy governance mechanisms may receive audit findings for poor cybersecurity risk oversight, inadequate security policy enforcement, and failure to integrate security governance into enterprise-wide risk management strategies. Organizations face multiple barriers in ensuring cybersecurity risk management policies are effectively established and maintained. One major challenge is lack of executive support for cybersecurity policy development, where leadership teams do not prioritize cybersecurity risk governance, leading to weak security policy enforcement and inconsistent security governance structures. Another challenge is failure to integrate cybersecurity policy governance into enterprise-wide risk management, where organizations treat cybersecurity risk management as a separate function rather than aligning it with business risk governance strategies. A final challenge is infrequent or outdated cybersecurity policy updates, where organizations fail to review security policies regularly, leading to outdated security procedures that do not account for emerging cyber threats and evolving regulatory requirements. Organizations can overcome these barriers by developing structured cybersecurity governance frameworks, ensuring that cybersecurity policies are continuously reviewed and updated, and integrating cybersecurity policy management into enterprise-wide risk governance. Investing in AI-driven security policy automation, predictive cybersecurity risk assessment tools, and real-time cybersecurity policy enforcement platforms ensures that organizations dynamically assess, monitor, and refine cybersecurity policies to align with evolving threats and business needs. Standardizing cybersecurity risk management policy development across departments, subsidiaries, and external business partners ensures that security governance frameworks are consistently applied, reducing exposure to cyber threats and strengthening enterprise-wide cybersecurity resilience. By embedding cybersecurity policy governance into enterprise risk management strategies, organizations enhance security accountability, improve regulatory compliance, and ensure sustainable cybersecurity risk management in an evolving cyber threat landscape. That wraps up today's discussion on framework. Don't stop here. Head over to cyberauthor.me to explore more cybersecurity topics and discover a best-selling book covering NIST and other critical cyber frameworks. Please like, rate, and review this episode on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, remember that knowledge is power.